Life is a casino. We don't sing, we just hit them off with C-notes. And you can bet it all. I'ma be the last one standing tall. Joey Merlino.
What's up, Big?
Life is a casino. We don't sing, we just hit them off with
Tell us about ourselves.
And you can bet it all. I'ma be the last one standing tall. Joey Merlino.
With Joey Merlino.
Welcome back to Diamond Recovery Group Podcast with your host, Lil Snuff. Now, today's episode's a little different. Today's the third episode of Diamond Recovery. You know, Ben, Podcast Junkie Studio, that's where we're at today. We're live here in the studio. Ben's going to be asking me some questions. We did it a little different today because a lot of people in my DMs, you know, keep asking me to tell a little bit more about the story, how I got into recovery, and what happened. So I guess we'll just take it from, where it all began. I was like a late bloomer. I didn't smoke weed. I didn't drink till a very late age. I think my first drink was about 16, 17 years old. And why that's so important is because, everybody says when you get into addiction and when you have a problem, like people blame it on their parents, people blame it on where they grew up at, but none of that is part of my story. I came from a great family. My parents are still together. My sister never had an alcohol or drug problem. Nobody in my family ever had an issue with addiction. On my dad's side, a little bit, but, that's further down the line. But in all reality, and I say this because I want people to understand, like, I wanted to drink. I wanted to get high because that's what I wanted to do. It made me feel good. I wasn't trying to escape from anything. I didn't have any trauma in my life. I didn't have anything that I was trying to hide from. I just truly enjoyed a drink and a drug. And when you're younger and you're partying, you're out with your friends, that's part of your childhood. It's part of growing up. It's part of who you are. And like I said earlier, I was a late bloomer. And, I remember the first time I held a smeared off 22 in my hand. I was scared to death to drink it. So I was walking down the street and I acted like it fell out of my jacket and it burst everywhere. And everybody was like, oh my God, you dropped it. But I just didn't want to do it at that point, and I wound up drinking that night anyway. But the problem, I was always nervous to do it because I don't know, in the back of my mind, I knew that I was going to love partying or drinking or doing drugs. But I just knew that I really just wanted to hang out with my friends. We thought it was cool then, and I always tell in my story, like, a lot of my friends now are clean and sober. A lot of my friends growing up, a few of them did pass away. Everybody in South Philly, we're a small community, so everybody knows everybody's story. So, like I said, when I was younger, came from a great household, great family, great friends, great parents, went to Catholic school my whole life, always had a job, always was out, always was looking to get the next girl, always wanted money in my pocket. It was just fun, So when I knew that I had an issue, and when I knew that there was definitely a problem here, when you wake up in the morning and you are relying on snorting pills to get out of bed, or taking pills to get out of bed, or taking any type of substance to get out of bed, that's when you know you are in active addiction.
Was that the exact moment you knew that your life had to change, when you were waking up? And
so definitely when I knew, and it's funny because it all happened when I was down the shore. And when I was down the shore, there was nightclubs called Mix, Murmur, Providence, Dust. Every night there was something to do. Maynard's. When we would come back to the city, we would go to Wolf Street, or then we would go to Adelphi as Wednesday night college night. So it just became like Monday you were drinking and doing partying there, and Tuesday, Wednesday it became a weekend warrior that came during the week after. And when I finally, when I finally realized that I had an issue was when I woke up one morning down the shore. It was the summertime, and I'm like, I feel like absolute shit. And I didn't know why I felt like shit. And then as the day got on, like I had this, not like the shakes, but you just felt like weird, like your body felt weird. So then as I felt weird that whole day, I made one phone call. I got what I thought I guess I needed. I took them. And at this point I was, just swallowing pills like a normal person, and I felt okay. And I was like, holy shit, I'm addicted to Percocets. And not knowing that I was really addicted to them. But when you wake up in the morning and you don't feel right, and then you put a Percocet in your mouth or a drink in your mouth and you feel normal, you're addicted.
Yeah.
And you just, I never understood that it was going to lead me down the paths that it led me down. I just thought that it was something that I could just stop on my own, but you can't. When that gets a hold of you, and I always say, like, it grabs a hold of like your spine and it doesn't let go, that's when you know you're in full active addiction. And then once you're in full active addiction, your whole world is like inside a fucking blender, and it's just going to destroy you.
Wow. Did you ever think you wouldn't make it out alive? Like in this whole process of you, I mean,
there was some times that, my addiction got so bad, like I could remember like my nose was full of blood. Like it was New Year's Day. I'll never forget. I was with my buddy Russo and Stefan. We were at a place up Passyunk Avenue, right across the street from Stogie Joe's. It was called China House. And I remember sitting at the table, and my nose was just bleeding because it was so shot out from snorting coke and pills. Like my buddy Russo was like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? I was just like, I can't stop. That was January 1st, and one of the times I went to rehab was January 2nd. Because I knew I had to stop. Like something had to make me stop, And in 2014, when I came down here to Florida and, I put myself in rehab and I got dropped off to Joey, he had Merlino's restaurant down here, and he sat me down, him and another guy, Joe, and was just like, what are you doing? You got a good family. You have all of us around you. Like, you're a good kid. You're good looking. Like, what the fuck are you going to do? And I hate even using the word, but like, are you going to be a junkie for the rest of your life? And I hate that word more than anything. And it hit me. Like, what am I doing to myself? You know what I mean? So, and talking about Joey and talking about the podcast, like our relationship stems from all the way back then. Wow. Like people think that like I just met Joey. Like I know this guy my entire life.
No, he's always had an eye for you,
always
watching over you and making sure like you got your head on your
always
head.
Him and my dad playing cards together, his father and my grandfather, so it stems from back there. But like in their generation, this wasn't a thing. And I feel like it got really bad up until now, and it still is bad now that fentanyl's out, and now that it's so easy to get drugs, and, there's kratom cafes now you see, and gas stations are allowed to sell weed. It's just so in your face at all times, and I understand
Very
that.
accessible.
Very accessible. Very accessible.
Wow. And it's amazing that you had that support, though, that support system from Joey, they actually took the time to be like, hey, man, we know, or we could see where the path is going, and that's not what you want. That's not what you are. They've seen you.
Like my mom and dad were like, and my sister were fucking destroyed. Like to the point where like my dad, as a father, the first thing I guess you are angry. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Who's selling you the drugs? What bar are you going to? None of that matters. You could go beat up every drug dealer and go in every bar and say, do not give my son anything. That doesn't work. If we want to get it, we're going to go get it. Nothing will stand in your way, And I heard a story, like, when I first started going to meetings, that a guy, he just had a baby. And he said his baby was on the floor, hysterical, crying in pain, and his wife needed help. And he literally couldn't function, that he stepped over his son or daughter, I forget, if it was a boy or a girl, to go outside the door to get right, to get his fix. Oh. And like, that's how powerful addiction is. In your mind, all you want is the next one. All you want is, I have to feel okay, Yeah. And like my story was different because I never had trauma in my life. I'm not going to say I was the most popular kid in South Philly, but I was popular. I always had friends. I always had girls. That wasn't the issue. We just loved partying. We loved going out, and it became a problem. I became addicted fast. And my parents, like, when they figured out that they couldn't do anything to stop me, like, they were just so hurt, like, that they thought that it was their fault, but it was never their fault. It was me. It was my choices. I never blamed anybody for anything. My mom and dad still till this day, my dad more like he'll talk about my son sober, my son's in recovery for almost 10 years. My mom, like, gets nervous. Like, she doesn't want to talk about it, because I guess it was just a time in their life that was sad for
something
them.
they didn't want to think about.
Yeah, they just didn't want to think about it.
And I mean, you spoke earlier about it's a mental, right? It's all mental. But I have what's the darkest place addiction ever took you?
I mean, it took me to the point where like I was engaged prior to my wife now, Danielle. Before I met Danielle, I was engaged prior. You know, I had a house, I had a car, I was in the union. You know, I had a lot of things going for me, and it took me to a place where my relationship was ruined, not only with the girl, but with my best friends my entire life. I repoed my car. I lost the house. I lost everything. You know, I was back living on my parents' couch. It took me to a place where I said that I would never put anything up my nose, and I started snorting pills up my nose and other substances. Like, it took me to places that I never thought I would be, like selling my car to buy drugs. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But that's where it takes you. It don't matter if you grew
said-
up
like
in
you
a
said,
$1
you're
million
gonna get it.
house. It don't matter if you went to the best school. It don't matter if your parents gave you the best life. When that has a hold of you, there's nothing you could do. There's just nothing you could do. And that's why, like, when I go on social media, like Mondays, I try and do like a motivation, because I want people to understand, like, I was in the same situation that you're in right now. I watched myself go through the struggles to get where I am now. You know, you look at social media and, you know, oh my God, Snuff has the best life ever. Well, it took me a while to get where I am. 10 years clean and sober. Yeah, I do have a house. I do have a beautiful wife now. I do have great relationships with my family and friends, but it takes time. It just doesn't happen overnight. And that's what people that just start getting into recovery feel like, that it has to happen right then and there. No, it takes time. You could get sober for 30, 60, 90 days, and your life might get worse. But that's what happens. You did a lot of damage for 10 years prior of you getting high, drinking, and ruining relationships. So in 90 days, your life's not going to be like Bill Gates all of a sudden. No, it takes time. Everything in life takes time. It's patience, and you just have to do the next right thing. And that's why I always try and go online and talk about it, because it's so important.
Now, those, I couldn't agree more, and being there for someone is huge. Now, you were speaking about those relationships that you lost. Is there hope? Like, were you able to rekindle any of those relationships?
Absolutely.
Is that a couple steps to getting better, to getting, like, or do you have to fix yourself and then you can start?
So without a doubt, you have to fix yourself first. You know, you have to lay the groundwork for yourself. You know, if meetings work for you and you want to go to meetings in recovery, that works for you. If you want to go to church and you believe in God, I always say whatever works for you might not work for the next person. But if you lay the groundwork for yourself and you start feeling better and you start doing the next right thing, eventually, them relationships with a girl might come back. Your best friends who you grew up with, who you did, they're not talking to you no more. Wow, they might say to themselves, "Look, listen, Snuff's trying now. He's better. You know, let's have a conversation." And I always apologize for everything that I have ever done to anybody in active addiction. It was never their fault. It was always my fault. Anytime you got into a fight, anytime anything happened, it's your fault.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not in the right frame of mind.
Yeah, exactly. You're on something.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, at the time, maybe those people don't realize it.
Of course.
But you knew, and like, you understand why those relationships kind of crumbled.
Yeah, and when you're in active addiction and like I told you, it's like putting everything in a blender and hitting the on button. It's just, everything is just swirling around. It gets melted to nothing, like when you're making a milkshake. When you walk into rehab and you surrender, that's when it all hits you and you're like, wow, what the fuck did I just do? Look where I'm at now. I'm in detox. I'm sharing a room with two other guys. You know, they're telling me what time I got to wake up and take my medicine. I'm shitting. I'm throwing up. I'm scared to death. I'm crying, because now you're starting to feel all these different emotions that you haven't felt in the last 10 years,
that have
because
been suppressed by all these things, and it's a hell of a wake up call. It sounds like.
No, listen. I was there for Christmas. I was there for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and the feeling that you feel in there. Because I know my parents are sick that I'm not there, my sister, my family, but like, we have somebody to go home to. Like, people that are in rehab, like, these kids don't have nowhere to go. Like, they want to be in here. They want to have a hot meal, you know, because when they leave here, they're back on the street. So when you realize, like, how much you have than other people and how fortunate you are and blessed, like, it puts everything into reality. Like, I'm sitting over here crying hysterically because I'm eating stuffing in rehab and turkey. Meanwhile, the kid next to me don't even have a house to go home to. So, you know, you got to, like, wise up. And, like, one guy told me, I'll never forget it. He passed away now when I was in the Haven in Florida, in Pompano. I was hysterical crying. It was Thanksgiving morning. And I was like, you know, I just want to go home, you know, feel bad for me. He's like, who do you love? who just died in your family? And I was like, my grandmother. He was like, keep crying and say that you want to go home and do drugs again. It's like you pissing on her grave. And like at that point, I was like, yo, you're saying I'm pissing on my grandmother's grave? Like I got mad. But he's right. Like you gotta show toughness and like show like this is real life. Like you go back out there and you do another pill, you have another drink, you snort something, like you could die and now it's all over. So when you have the opportunity to better your life, you got to take advantage of it.
If you're looking for Skinny Joey's to cater your party, contact us 24 hours in advance. You could call the store, you could DM us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, wherever we're at, message us. We'll cater the big game party for you. Come over here, Q. You can look a nice cheesesteak right here. We do cheesesteak trays. We do your chicken wing trays. We're going to post a menu also, and we're exclusively on DoorDash for the big game and every day. And if you ain't ordering from Skinny Joey's Cheesesteaks, you already know you're an absolute bed bug.
And sometimes it takes that one person to give you a little wake up call.
Yeah.
Like come on, man. Like,
Yeah.
Giving you that. And that kind of talks about, I guess, going into being sober, right? What's something that I guess people misunderstand about the process or getting into sobriety?
So I think the biggest misconception, people say it's not a disease, it is a disease. Whether it's a disease or not a disease, it's real.
Addiction.
Yeah. I mean, it's real. So I would say when people first try and get sober and clean, there's a lot going on. You got people telling you got to go to meetings, other people telling you got to go to church, other people telling you to stay in your house. There's just a lot going on in your mind. And you got to realize like your mind hasn't worked in the last 15 years. So you're taking all these different things in and different opinions. So you just got to, my biggest thing was I had to sit back. I literally stayed in my house the last time to September 11th, 2016, when I went away and got out. I literally sat in my house for 2.5 years. And went to work every day in the car business. I had a schedule, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 9 in the morning to 9 at night, off Thursday, Friday and Saturday, 9 to 6. I needed a schedule. I needed a routine because my life was so fucking chaotic and unmanageable. I needed to sit back and let a year or two go past. And I was all right with that. I had no money. I was living on my grandmother's third floor on 13th Street. I didn't care because I was so happy just being clean and sober, not having to wake up in the morning and be deathly sick, not waking up in rehab, not waking up in the morning trying to figure out how I was going to go get $300 to get high for the day. Like all that stuff. Like I was just so happy just to relax. For 2.5 years, I didn't go out.
So I guess that's good advice to kind of, I guess everyone has their own way of.
Yeah, everybody has their own way.
For you, that was it. Now, what was harder? Was it getting clean or staying clean?
Staying clean for sure.
Staying clean
for sure. It's way harder.
Really?
You could get clean anytime you want if you want to do it. Staying clean and living the life of being sober is the hard part. Like I make sure.
The mentality. Yeah.
And I make sure I never put myself in a situation that I'm ever going to think about going back to there. I'm never going to like. You're never going to hear.
Do you have triggers?
Not now, I don't.
Okay.
But in the beginning, you do. But you're never going to hear, wow, Snuff was in the bar till 4 a.m. last night. Why the fuck would I be in a bar until 4 a.m. if I don't drink? Eventually, you're going to drink. If you sit in a barbershop long enough, you're eventually going to get a haircut. So I always put myself in a situation, and my wife will tell you, I never do anything that makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't care who's there, what I have to do. If it's something that's not going to make me feel right, I ain't doing it. If that's selfish, so be it. But I'm not doing it. I always try and make sure that I put myself and other people around me in the right situation that maybe are going through the same thing I am.
That's great. And that seems like you're mentally preparing yourself wherever you go. You're mentally taking that precaution, not even precaution, but you're just being aware.
Aware, yeah.
And talking about, mental health and all that stuff. What do you think mental health is a disease, is real? Is it?
So I 1000% I think mental health is so important to talk about because right now in society, in the world we live in, everybody has a cell phone. Everybody goes on their phone and they look, and you could be a young kid, boy or girl, sitting in their house, and all they're doing is social media, and everybody's living this lavish life. Everybody's going on vacation. Everybody's got the hottest boyfriend, hottest girlfriend, and they look like they're living their best life. And they're sitting home and they're depressed because they think something's wrong with them because they don't have that type of life. And mental health is so important to talk about because people literally right now are sitting home. They have so much anxiety that it's crippling to them that they can't even get out of bed. They can't eat. They can't talk to no one. They literally are stuck in a rut that they just don't know how to get out. So I always talk about mental health on the podcast. I always talk about being clean and sober because I think right now is so important to talk about that because of these phones. They're the best things and the worst things all in one, you know. So when it comes to something like that, you just have to keep harping on it. Like, people have to reach out.
And you're right, because, I mean, listen, our phones are, again, just like ChatGPT and AI, they're tools to be used not to write our life, not to write our script, because at the end of the day, it's a computer, right? We are human beings. We are able to make conscious decisions. And you know, even that, we're able to help people, because that's, honestly, I think that's a lot with rehab is a lot of people don't realize that if you just ask for some help,
you're going to get it.
You're going to get
it. Why I partnered up and work for a Diamond Recovery Group, because I see what they do for people, how they help people, how they help their clients. There was people that work for me and Joey that don't have insurance. And all I had to do was pick up the phone and say, hey, you know, I have a good friend of mine who needs help. Can you do it for me? Without a doubt, they knew they didn't have insurance. No problem. We'll give them a bed. Joey's good friend owns a rehab center. Boom. We need help. Absolutely, scholarship them right in. So when you're in this field and you work for people like these guys behind me, you carry it on your heart because it means so much to them. It means so much to you, and it means so much to the person in the family that you're helping for sure.
And you've been in that situation, and like that's all it takes is just having one person just say, hey, let me help you get there.
That's it. You just got to ask for help.
That's it.
That's all you got to do. And I know it's hard. It's embarrassing. Listen, no one wants to, as a man or a woman who has a family, who has kids, whatever the case may be, and go on their phone and call somebody for help. Like, you don't want to call somebody right now and borrow money. You're embarrassed, right?
Yeah.
Imagine calling somebody and telling them right now that you are taking 10 pills a day, drinking a fifth of vodka a day, you have no money, you can't take care of your kids, and you need help. It's hard.
Yeah, like literally you just listed all of those things, and for you to even take the step to pick up the phone is huge. And you know, it's unfortunate that some people don't have that field, but that friend group or the family, but Diamond Recovery Group can be there for you and help you out.
And when it comes to recovery, I want to just highlight this because a lot of people in my videos are like, oh, yeah, you're clean and sober for 10 years, but you're really not because you gamble. Absolutely, I gamble, and that's my choice. What works for me might not work for you. If you think because I gamble, I'm not in recovery, that's your opinion. I don't believe in that. This is my journey. It's not yours, you know, but everybody in life has a vice, whether it's playing an instrument, whether it's going to the Florida Panthers game, whether it's getting 10 haircuts a week, I don't care. I enjoy gambling. That's what I enjoy. You might not enjoy it. You might not like it. Some people can't gamble because it will lead them to a drink or a drug. It will lead them to mental health issues. You know, fortunate for me, it's not. It's part of my business. It's part of what I do. I've been doing it for so long. So, you know, a lot of people say that in the comments, well, you know, it's not right. Yeah, if that's what you think, that's your opinion. That's why they make chocolate and vanilla.
Exactly.
That's it. Simple.
All right. So real quick, because I do want to hit more on like mental health and actually get in your mind a little bit more,
of course.
Snuff. What is your daily routine that actually really keeps you locked in, keeps you kind of, I think the audience would probably really love to hear some advice on that.
So my routine is, and I'll start from the night before. I'm in bed by 9, 10 o'clock tops.
So sleep.
Before I go to bed, I believe in God. If you don't believe in God, that's you. If you believe in another higher power, more power to you. I pray every single night before I go to bed. I wake up every single day the same exact time. It's either between 6:30 and like 7:15. I wake up, go to the bathroom, of course, drink, my wife, my dog, get a nice cup of coffee. I sit down, I go on my phone, I start posting videos. You know, And I post a video at 8 o'clock in the morning. I post another video at 11 o'clock. I post another one at 5, another one at 8 o'clock at night. But why I'm saying that is, to answer your question, is I have a routine, and that routine helps my mental health. It keeps me accountable because I know if I don't wake up tomorrow at 7:15 in the morning and I oversleep till 10, my whole day's fucked up. Like, that's not who I am, what I want to do. If tomorrow morning I wake up and I don't post any videos or content, that's not good for my mental health because that's not what I do. This is what I do. This keeps me sober and clean, my job. You know, who I'm around, what I'm doing, my wife, my family, my mother, my father, my sister. So my routine is I'm in such a routine of a schedule, and I always, if I have to be here at 5, I'm here at 4:45. You know, that's how I keep myself accountable.
I love that. And it sounds like you are able to utilize, I guess, all of these, people and incorporate them into your routine, but you also know that they're supporting you, your wife, your friends, your family, posts, and you got a great following of people that love I love your content, man. You do great stuff. So
thank you.
I think it also helps others that are struggling.
I would say, and also I want to highlight in my story, and this is, like I said, this is my recovery. The best part for me about being sober and clean is that I could be present. And when I say I could be present is, if somebody calls me right now and they have an issue, I could pick up the phone, and 9 times out of 10 I can handle it, and that's because I'm sober. Whether it's to go drive somewhere to pick somebody up in a car, whether it could be financially, whether it could be I have to do somebody a favor, whether you have to just be there for one of your friends, your family members, you could be present, and I know everything around me that's going on. I know 9 times out of 10, I could fix the issue because I'm sober and clean. Now, if you would have called me when I was in active addiction, I probably wouldn't even answer the fucking phone. I probably could have cared less what was going on in your life because I was just worried about getting the next one for me.
Wow. So you talk about sobriety, and what other advice would you give to people listening, trying to get sober? Maybe give them three little tips.
So for sure is definitely 1000% reach out for help. That's number one. Secondly would be you have to surrender to it. You have to understand that you're not normal. You have an allergy. You have a disease of addiction, so you have to surrender to it, because if you don't surrender to it and you don't understand that this thing is bigger than you, it's not going to work. And the third thing for me is definitely remove yourself from people, places, and things for a little while, without a doubt.
A little isolation. From at least if you're around all of that stuff. It doesn't help.
No, it
really
doesn't help.
It doesn't help.
Help.
If you're seeing a chocolate cake and you're hungry and you want chocolate, you're going to grab
you can't go to rehab for 28 days and then come home on the 29th day, say hello to your family, and the 29th night, you're out in a nightclub. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
Man, it's not going to work. 99.9% don't make it. Only 1% stay sober and clean.
Really?
Yeah, that's the statistics of it.
Holy shit.
If you look it up right now, 1%, 1 out of 100 will lead a clean and sober life.
Oh man.
It's not good,
Man, we got to get that number up.
Absolutely.
We really got to get that number. I really hope, Diamond Recovery, they're doing a great job
They
over
are.
there. So I love to hear it. Now, Snuff, what does peace feel like for you right now compared to what it was?
I mean, when I'm at peace the most,
What?
and my wife will laugh because she knows it's true, when I'm sitting in the bathtub.
Oh.
I literally got the bathtub, turn it up on hot water, and I'm sitting there, I'm relaxing, and I know, like, I'm just at peace with myself because I know I worked my fucking balls off that day, and I know I didn't pick up, I didn't get high, I didn't drink, I did hopefully the right thing that day, because you only got 24 hours, and I'm just sitting in the bathtub relaxing, and I'm going downstairs, and I'm having a hot meal with my wife, playing with the dog, and that's it. My life's simple. I really don't need much. I don't need the big house, the fancy car. I don't need any of that stuff. I'm happy. I'm content with what I have, and whatever happens.
Wow. That's awesome. So you get, I think that's, listen, you went through it and you found peace.
That's it.
Right?
That's it. Yeah.
And everyone has their own way. And again, you gamble a little bit, but I mean,
it's just what I like.
that's what you like.
That's what I like.
Right? I love playing music.
There you go.
I'll play music whenever I get a chance.
Listen, people are addicted to buying cars.
Yeah.
They got 15 cars in their driveway. That's an addiction. But that's what they like. They're not hurting nobody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
As long as, exactly. As long as they're not hurting
That's all it's
anybody
about.
and all that.
You know, and when you're growing up in a place like South Philly, you know, we always talk about it, me and Joe on the podcast. You know, we say we got different water where we're from. You know, we're crazy. We're different, but we're good people. You know what I mean? I could walk in my best friend's house right now. Michael Russo, Michael Pissarro, Michael Reverso, TJ Biondo. I could walk right in their house. I could walk right in their refrigerator. That's how we grew up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, their parents will do anything for me. My parents will do anything for them, without a doubt. That's just how it is.
It's the culture.
It's the culture. It's different there.
Yeah,
so when you're in active addiction, everybody's talking about it. The whole neighborhood knows what's going on. You know, so it's not right. I got a story. I was fucked up and not doing the right thing. My buddy Michael Lepore was getting married, and me and him got into a fight 2 weeks before the wedding. It was my fault. I was in his wedding as a young kid. He's older than me, and I didn't even go to the wedding. And, you know, years later, I had to apologize to him when I got sober because I was wrong. You know, and right now, bestest friends. Years later, you know, we stopped talking for 2 years. We've been talking for 20 now. So, you know, it's just what happens. You know, but when you're in active addiction like that and you come from a South Philly, a Staten Island, where everybody knows what you're doing, and people get mad.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, but it's like you said, you're able to mentally change the way you think, and you're able to say, I did something wrong,
1,000,000%.
but I value this friendship. I value this, you know, and I think it's huge on the other side of whoever either you're apologizing to or whoever, they're accepting it.
Yeah,
right?
of course, because they know they know you weren't in the right frame of mind.
This is a good thought. Do you have any bridges that broke permanently, like that you can't like?
I mean, I would say, I don't know. To be honest with you, no, not that I know of. No.
See,
no.
That's.
I don't think that there's one person out there that could really say like that I did something to them and like I didn't make up for it. You know what I mean?
Nice. That's good.
So I think I apologize to whoever I hurt or anything I did. I never robbed anybody. I was not that type of person. You know, you get into an altercation, a fight, whatever the case may be. You know, so something like that. But like when I tell these stories and talk about, you know, active addiction, like my wife didn't see me in active addiction.
Oh, okay.
So Danielle has no idea how I was. She sees pictures, she hears stories, you know, and she can't like see me that way, you know what I mean? So it's kind of weird for her because she got the best version of myself, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And thank God she did because I met her at a perfect time in my life. I was 3 years sober when I met my wife.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice.
Mhm.
That's nice. Did you ever have a moment where you were like completely alone?
Yeah.
Like by yourself, just
Yeah.
sitting there being like, man, I wish I had.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, 2.5 years I sat in.
No, but that was you getting sober.
Yeah.
But like before that, like you were in like the rock bottom.
Oh, yeah. Like I would be in my parents' house sleeping on their couch because I got thrown out of my house. And sleeping on the couch, no money, owed everybody money, was deathly sick, like all alone. Like my parents didn't want to talk to me. My sister didn't want to talk to me. It was just me and your thoughts in your mind. And when you are alone in your head, that's the worst thing for you because you're thinking terrible thoughts.
So many thoughts are going in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's all the questions I got for you, man.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean,
You just gotta, whoever's out there and they're listening to the podcast and they're hearing what I'm saying, you know, the main thing that I want everybody to understand when it comes to recovery and when it comes to sobriety and it comes to mental health, what works for someone else might not work for you. Figure out your own lane and stick to it. You know, if you taking a walk and walking 10 miles a day works for you to stay sober and clean, it works for you. Who cares what people say about you? You know, one thing that I think that I was born with and in South Philly is we don't give a fuck what anybody says about us. We could care less what the comments say. We could care less what you think about how I look or how my friends look or how that doesn't matter to us. We know who we are. We know what we built, and, you know, no one's going to take that away from us, you know. So when you're out there and you're watching this podcast and you're saying, you know, maybe I should reach out for help. If you're thinking that you definitely should reach out for help, you know, and there's Diamond Recovery Group behind me. The phone number is listed on the screen. If you don't even want me to know what's going on, call the number. You could talk to somebody else. No one will ever know your business. If you want to message me, you want to message Joey, you want to message anybody on our team, I promise you that someone will answer and someone will definitely help you. And the longer you stay sober and clean, one thing I know in life for sure, besides that my father's my real father, is the longer you stay sober and clean, the way, way, way better your life will get. Because without me being clean and sober, everything that I have, everything that I accomplished, I would not have if it wasn't for sobriety. If I was in active addiction, I would probably tell you that 97% shot I would not be here right now. It's either jail, I'd be dead, I might be living on the street. Who knows? You know, you just can't do it. It's just not, it's not the way to be. It's not the life that you want to lead. It's not what you want your parents to remember you as or your friends. And with everything going on right now with, you know, this fucking fentanyl and who's spiking who and clubs, it's not worth it. What, to go out and have fun for one night? It could be the end of your life fast.
I was going to say, it could
Fast.
be the last one.
Yes, it could. And that's the problem because, you know, everybody goes on social media and they see, you know, they see the parties, the girls, and the top 10 models, and he's doing this and she's doing that. Why don't I have that type of life? And, you know, it gets people in their thoughts, and that's where mental health comes into play.
That fear of missing out, right? But then at the end of the day, if you really just took the time to take some inner peace and figured out your mentality, that all that stuff doesn't mean anything.
And that's the biggest thing with time, because a lot of people reach out and they say, all right, yeah, I want to go to detox and I want to go to treatment. How many days? All right. Well, let's say detox is 7 days and treatment's 21 days. So 28 days. Oh, no, I can't do that. I cannot go away from my family for 28 days. Why? Well, what do you mean why? I got built. Listen, you haven't paid your bills in the last 15 years. Your parents don't want you at any family functions because you're on drugs, you're drinking, you're not in the right frame of mind. 28 days will save your life forever. I'm telling you, it's a way better choice. Way better choice. So I'm going to leave everybody with that. The third episode, Diamond Recovery Group, Lil Snuff. We'll see you next time. Podcast Junkie Studio, Boca Raton, Florida. Shout out to my brother Ben, who is a part of the podcast. Love this guy to death. He's been there with us since day one. Shout out to him. Shout out to my buddy Jordan, that's in the building also. We'll see you next time.
Life is a casino. We don't sink, we just hit them off with C-notes. And you can bet it all. I'ma be the last one standing tall. Joey Merlino.
What's up, G?
Life is a casino. We don't sink, we just hit them off with C-notes. And you can bet it all. I'ma be the last one standing tall. Joey Merlino.
With Joey Merlino.